As he is unable to come, probably Chandrasekhara will stand as a substitute.
Of course, I will not be able to deliver the entire thing what Dr. Dharmanand would have presented across, because he is one of the person who works and concentrate more on the pain and pain management. What I have done is that for a quick substitution, I have just taken few of the points that he has presented in his abstract. I am just trying to elaborate what it best can be looked into. See, as we are clear that the pain is one thing which all of us are very concerned, both the pain and even if we get it, we are really bothered and troubled by the pain. It really impairs the quality of life, and if you look in and feel from the patient's perspective, or for that matter if you feel from our own perspective when we had that chronic pain, it really bothers. It disturbs the sleep, it puts a lot of fatigue, it comes in the day-to-day affair. So that's why it's one of the largest pharmaceutical industry where the much more money is invested, spent from the healthcare industries to manage the pain. There are several advances has happened. A lot more changes have come over the pain managements from the pharmaceutical perspective. Lot new drugs have come. I think that's been highlighted quite frequently. We have got varieties of NSAIDs, varieties of modified and altered morphine analogs, which are more and less toxic and which are having less adverse reaction, in the same time giving a better alleviation of the pain. So one of the most critical thing is that the management of fibromyalgia, which is always a challenging, where we have tried to work out and try to understand this particular fibromyalgia. What have we learned over a period of time is, we have learned that before we call it as fibromyalgia, we need to exclude all possibilities of other reasons for rheumatic disease. And quite frequently, majority of these patients of fibromyalgia have sleep disturbance. Look and evaluate the sleep disturbance, and whether the sleep disturbance is the primary cause for the fibromyalgia or the pain is responsible for the sleep disturbance, try to work it out. And we use antidepressants in most of these patients, and as we are aware, these antidepressants can be used even in helping and alleviating the pain in other conditions. Some of the time in rheumatoid arthritis, we do substitute these antidepressants. And behavioral therapy and exercise therapy have a very good effect when it comes to fibromyalgia, not just in fibromyalgia, even in the pain management of rheumatic diseases. And we have understood that there is a way to improve the peripheral pain and improvement in various other areas, and you need to give a sort of a comprehensive treatment which includes both physical therapy, psychological therapy as well as pharmacological therapy when it comes to managing the pain. The most important is, when you are trying to manage a pain, this is very critical. You need to analyze the reason for pain. What is responsible for the pain in this particular patient? To give a simple example, say if it is a rheumatoid arthritis patient whose no more inflammation is existing, no joint swelling, joints are not really limited by the movements, no more tenderness, but still patient continues to complain pain. The pains are more in the muscle areas and other areas. NSAIDs are not going to help at this point of time because there is no more inflammation which is responsible for the pain. At that point of time, we need to reconsider, is there an overlap of fibromyalgia or is there something else? So you need to rework up to find out what could be the cause or the reason responsible for a pain which is persisting in the patient whom you are treating. It's not just rheumatoid, it's not just a patient of fibromyalgia. We need to rework and relook at what is the reason for the persistence of the pain. If there is a persistence of, if there are, say that inflammatory parameters are normal, there is no more localized pain or tenderness, and you start finding them, they are not responding to NSAIDs, you give a shot of depomedrol or steroids, no more alleviation on the pain. And if you look back and see there is a sleep disturbance or any other suggest that there is much more than the arthritis which is responsible for the pain. So then, as you've been elaborated time and again, when you are trying to manage pain, when it comes to rheumatoid, you use disease-modifying anti-rheumatic drug. As Professor Rao elaborated, you can use steroid in between to alleviate the symptoms and inflammation as a bridge therapy. And you can use intra-articular injections to alleviate if it's a 1 or 2 joints which are swollen and painful. And of course, good dose of NSAIDs are helpful in rheumatoid arthritis patients. And we have a lot of advancement has happened. You have COX-2 selective inhibitors which NSAIDs have come. And it's actually not in this decade, it has come a decade earlier, and we are well aware and we have used it, and we know the pros and cons of this particular group of these drugs. And when you feel that possibly there is an element of depression, or there is a possible element of fibromyalgia or some other, one can use these anticyclic or tricyclic antidepressants or antidepressants which can help to greater extent in alleviating the pain. And if you feel there is a neuropathic pain, or if you feel that other pains are responsible, one can use even the anti-epileptics and even SNRI inhibitors which will help in improvising the pain. There we need to reconsider that just not continuing NSAID is going to help. We need to substitute with the reason or responsible cause for pain. Simultaneously, we need to intervene in their psychosocial perspectives. You need to look into, ask them to go with exercise. Exercises are going to improve the pain threshold, and so many other physical measures. Just giving a simple stick is going to help, or giving a knee brace or a knee support is going to help in alleviating the pain. So in essence, what it requires here is we have to open up the mind to see what is the pain, reason responsible for the pain, and based on that we can manage it further. There are old technique which we are re-exploring. Probably the acupressure, the manipulations and physiotherapies do help. Yoga, Tai Chi has been re-explored in helping the pain alleviations, and even the traditional medicines do help in alleviating the pain. We need to re-look and re-explore to find out that some more safer way to alleviate the pain which is less interfering on the renal function or gastrointestinal adverse reactions. So for an effective pain management, except in the beginning when we are very sure about the diagnosis that it is rheumatoid arthritis, where NSAIDs will help, once the inflammation is not anymore there, you need to start individualize the patient's treatment. If you have to look back, what else may be the responsible factor? If it's too much of a deformity or too much of a disability, go for a replacement. That alleviates the pain. If it is everything is fine, no inflammation, probably that you need to look for, there must be some sort of psychological factor, try to individualize that particular treatment. So if it is mood disorders, exhaustions or any other symptoms dominate, the antidepressants will help. And if the pain looks more to be of a neurological or neuroleptics, anti-epileptic drugs will help. And you need to look in the way you need to interfere. So when you are interfering, start with a lesser dose, gradually escalate to the best permissible dosage. Simultaneously, you can look into the non-pharmacological interventions. You can use the yoga, counseling, exercises, splint, etc. in handling the patients. See, the overall, there are a lot of improvements, but more than improvement, we need to improve our outlook with reference to the pain management. So the management of pain is an art in itself, and we need to look each patient individually. Probably, as a guide, I think there is the volume 2 of that book we have released. It's a question and answer on the management of rheumatoid arthritis, volume 2. That book is available, all the attendees free of cost and as a complimentary from us. I think it's available at Zydus stall downstairs when you go for the tea break. In that book, which of course I have authored with the help of Dharmanand and with all the questionnaires, there we have tried to address the question and answer about the pain and symptom management with reference to rheumatoid arthritis. We have tried to cover up most of these issues in a forum of question and answer, in a sense that if the patient has this symptom, how should I manage? If the patient has SNRI, shall I club this? What is the drug interaction? What other precautions to be taken has been given in cover up of a 40 question and answer volume, which is a volume 2, which if you can take it, it will help you further. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chandrasekhar. Any questions on this? Otherwise, we will end this session and we break for the tea. Sorry. Rao, yes.
A nice presentation. This is Mallikarjuna. I am a podiatrist. Sir is missing one thing. The mechanics also causes the pain. If you are missing the mechanics, if you are studying and diagnosing mechanics, that will causes one more pain, and it can be solved through biomechanics once again. That is the non-pharma this thing actually. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is a suggestion.
Fibromyalgia, is it really a diagnosis?
Yes. Yeah, sure.
We, in clinical practice, come across quite a few patients whom we can't categorize into any known illness. We have a tendency to dump them into this disease entity just because he's been complaining of generalized pain and we can't specifically diagnose the condition. Is it because these people have a heightened pain sensation in which the pain carrying pathways predominate over the other sensation carrying pathways from the skin, subcutaneous tissue and periarticular tissues? That is because they react and respond to alternative therapies which adopt taking away the pain sensation and introducing other kinds of sensations. And that is where alternative medicines, chiropractors, masseurs, they score over us because we don't identify this fundamental mechanism which is present in these patients who are dumped in as fibromyalgics. Do you agree?
I'll just put it in a little right perspective. See, fibromyalgia is a diagnosis. There is no second question on that. And it's an entity very well now established and understood. In a sense, see, the point here is, see, we are trying to misclassify a lot of other painful syndrome into fibromyalgia. That should be avoided. I fully agree with you with reference to that. The fibromyalgia is a syndrome of what we call as a maladaptive syndromes. This is what we are trying to work it out and put it across it as. What it meant here is the pain threshold will alter in this set of patients. I think we have a paper which I'm presenting and which is going to be shortly published in one of the journal, where we have worked with what we call as pain pressure threshold. In a sense, each of us vary with our pain pressure threshold. What we meant in pain pressure threshold is when you apply a certain amount of pressure on the skin in the specific point or non-specific points, at a set point pressure, the person feels the pain. This varies anytime from 100 to 5,000, that the variation is so significant and wide. And this is supposed to vary based on the varieties of factor. Female supposed to have a low threshold, men is supposed to have a high threshold, and in the daytime, in early you have a low threshold, towards the end of the day you have a high threshold, chill time, cold weather, air conditioner, pain threshold comes down. This, I don't think it needs an experiment, all of us have experienced this. This varies. But there is one more big gap in fibromyalgia. This is an interesting finding which we are trying to present. We have used this in two sets of patients, the patient who suffer from rheumatoid arthritis and the patient who suffer from fibromyalgia. What we have tried to do is, we have tried him to manipulate in a visual analog scale, comparing to the worst pain, how much is the pain he feels. What a rheumatoid arthritis patient marks is equivalent to the patient who are otherwise normal, to an individual who is normal and a pain pressure threshold. Suppose in a pain pressure threshold in a normal individual is done and you ask him to mark a visual analog scale, he normally puts it around 2 or 3. What is this 2 or 3? Is based on the experience of pain in the lifetime. You mark 3 point, you will be able to tolerate till the point 3 the pain, because you have been asked to tolerate that pressure, and after 3 you break down to say it's paining, you stop it. But in fibromyalgia patients, this mark was usually around 8 or 7. This was almost seen in 90% of the patients who suffered from fibromyalgia. What it means for us is, the point where the fibromyalgic patient feel a pain as a pain is very high cutoff. He cuts it off at 8 over his overall pain feeling. So in a sense, there is a gap between what happens and what he perceives. This is the wide gap. This, if it is proved, that's where it is called as real-time fibromyalgia. This is what we call as adaptation syndrome. He is failing to adapt for a pain which he otherwise has to tolerate. What fibromyalgia presents, because they feel a pain but they interpret it much more than what it is. And certainly the counseling helps, lot of other acts helps more than sometimes the drugs. I fully agree with that. That's where we miss it. That's the whole focus what Dr. Dharmanand wanted to focus. It would have been much more finer and nicer if he would have presented the whole thing. But I think I try to, a substitute is always a substitute. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree, B.C. Rao, what you said. All the mechanisms are there. Yes, fibromyalgia is not a single entity. It's a syndrome, group of this thing. I think there is a group of patients who are probably have fibromyalgic tendencies. I think some of the work from, I think recently from Norway, they have pointed out the specific behavioral tendency, fibromyalgia tendency itself there. I think we have to wait and see. But the condition does exist, and we don't have full answers. Thank you.